Hello! Good morning and afternoon and evening. It's Dee Dee. How's it going? Hello. Hello. Hi, Zon. Hi, Elpim. Hi, Art. Hi, Ranger. Chippity, yes. Sometimes and hello, Jambola. I open VTube Studio and go, maybe I'll turn back to maybe I'll be full size today. And then I'm like, it's too much effort to change. I will at some point, but it's just, yeah. I need to think of it, far enough in advance to make sure I have the time to switch the models and make sure everything's working correctly. Back to assignment. Good luck with the assignment. I'm doing pretty good. Voice isn't quite as warm. Excuse me. Isn't quite as warmed up as I would like it to be. I woke up from like a very, more like a cat nap. About 20 minutes ago. I did a little bit of a warm up, but not fully. I got hot water though, so that should help. Cozy nap at least? Yeah! I think I really needed a longer one, but you know, you get what you get kind of thing. Because I only had about 4 hours of sleep last night. Because it's like, first of all, I had a really hard time falling asleep. And then then I opened up YouTube app on my phone to put on some white noise, and right in the top page was the newest Genshin Impact video. They decided to just drop a major lore bomb on a random Wednesday at midnight. So of course after that I was wide awake. Hi, Butter. So it was okay. Took a little bit for me to finally fall back asleep, and cats, they're like, we don't care you only had a few hours of sleep. It's time for breakfast. Take another quick one, we won't tell. Will you guys watch stream? Gonna make a separate account for nighttime? I guess so, yeah. If pets only knew, right? Some people are like, oh, why don't you have those automatic feeders or whatever? And I'm like, first of all, I've got a cat that chews cables, so I feel like Pep would get hungry, and in her frustration or hunger, she would chew on the cable for that thing because she'll associate it with food because the food comes out of there. Second of all, a lot of, if it's a feeder that only opens when the cat's near it, those won't work with my cats because they don't like collars. Because they call them breakaway collars for those who don't have cats. And basically, since cats climb, you don't want them to have the kind of collars that dogs tend to have, with a more secure snap. Because, if the collar snags on something, cat's gonna get strangled. So it's meant that if there's enough force against the collar, it'll pop off, right? Mogu and all of her genius, sometimes you have cats that you're clearly too smart. you know, cats, like, they say have, like, you know, the intelligence of, like, a 2-year-old child. I believe it. Because Mogu, as a kitten, figured out how to get the collar off. And then Pep figured it out, and, you know, that was that. We were always curious how she did it, because she would always be under the bed or somewhere else in the house when she did it. Finally, Mama Melis, one day, I guess it was bugging Mogu enough that she did it in front of her. She, like, used her teeth to, like, spin the collar around so the buckle was in, like, a specific place. And then she laid down in a way so she could get her back paw under it, and then she kicked. And poof, there it goes. Smart not to get caught? Yes. She is one of those cats where you look at them, because, you know, there's some cats you make the joke, it's like there's no light behind those eyes. Oh, Mogu knows. Mogu knows everything. The look she gives me sometimes, I'm like, I can see gears spinning in your head. Because I feed Mogu on the kitchen table to keep her food separate from Pep. Because, I mean, Pep can jump, but she's less of a jumper than Mogu is. And so, like, you know, if they don't hear me opening the can or whatever, sometimes they don't realize that or if it's dry food, they don't realize I've already put out food for them. Mogu is smart enough that if I tap on the table, she knows food's there, and she'll climb up on a chair and then up on the table. I tried that with Pep. Like, originally I tried to feed Pep on the table. She just stares at me and screams until I pick her up and put her on the table. She could not figure out that food was there. Mogu got it, though. And hi, Drakan! Because, like, even, like, I would shake the dish so you would hear the sound of food, and Pep's still, like, staring at me, like, food! I'm like, yeah, it's right here in the bowl. And then I put the bowl down, and she's still like, food! That's scarily smart, right? Mogu is way too intelligent. She was destined to be like some mouser on a farm, and then she got stuck being my house pet. She's too old to do it now, but it used to be she would backflip in the air and catch flies. Treat her nice, else she'll plot your downfall. Oh yeah. Mama and Melis and I used to joke about them being Pinky and the Brain. Because Pep is so cute. Like, she's got like that like very classic black cat look. And she's smart enough to know that if she starts biting stuff, she'll get my attention. But it's not Mogu levels of smart where she figured out how to break off her collar, and that like I essentially trained her to like climb up onto the table if I tap it. Blast from the past, right? Good old Animaniacs. Way back in the day. And then they ended up having like their own show because they were so popular. Pinky and the Brain. Pinky and the Brain. One's just stupid, the other's insane. Not a very nice song now that you think about it, but... And yeah, and like if the litter box is too dirty for Mogu, she will come and find me and scream at me. And it's a very specific scream that I've come to learn is like, hey, this is unacceptable. Fix it. She is so smart, yeah. And she likes to be the little spoon whenever I'm sleeping. So if I have my arm out, she'll curl up like in my armpit, basically. She's a big suck. We love her. And she figured out one time, if she hops up onto the ledge after my bath, because there's like a big ledge in the bathtub. When I try and get out, she's realized that if she stands on there and keeps moving as I try to get out, I can't get out of the tub. So it's like I have to pay a pet toll half the time to get out of the shower. Like if I'm in there long enough that like she realizes I'm in there and she decides to be a menace, I can't get out until I pay the fare. It's like I have to give her like some like scritches and then finally like she'll let me like step out without getting in the way. How am I today? Pretty good. Pretty good. Little sleepy, but doing better. You know, it's like I debated, like, should I just ask to go home early? And then the caffeine finally kicked in around lunchtime. But I was getting up and, like, doing laps around the floor. Because I'm like, if I keep sitting here. It's like, it was a rainy day, and because it was raining, no one was coming in. So I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna fall asleep. No bueno. No bueno. It happens. Got to do a lot of reading today because it was slow. So hey, it's not all bad. I finished volume 6 of the Apothecary Diaries. And I started reading some manga, some Yuri manga. Like the anime for this one just started coming out, so I picked it up. Like I picked up the manga. It's also a light novel, but I decided to start with a volume of the manga to see if I like it. It's there's no freaking way I'll be your lover unless. Apparently it turns into a full-on poly situation later on, and by poly, I mean main girl gets multiple girlfriends, and now that's just not fair. Most of us can't even get one and she has multiple. That's crazy. That is unbelievable. Seen screenshots of that one on Twitter? Yeah! The artist for it, I believe, is, Iku Terushima, I think. She is the one who did the art for, Sing Me a Love Song. The Yuri anime that is famous because of how absolutely terrible the anime adaptation was. To the point they had to stop airing it halfway through to fix the remaining episodes. So bad that someone made an hour and a half long video after, like, they retired from making YouTube videos 4 years ago, but they came back just to talk about what a hot mess that anime was. Your eyes on City the Animation? Yeah! Oh my god, Nichijou time. That'll be nice. That's another one for, like, the folks that were around for Pop Team Epic watch-along. Nichijou is another one where it's random, but not full, like, not to the extent that Pop Team Epic is, where it's a lot of pop culture references. If you've been on the internet for a while, you've probably seen at least a clip or a GIF of Nichijou. It's the one where the principal has a wrestling match with the deer. And, like, you know, no one in the classroom is reacting except for the one girl who's looking out the window. The dog one shows up a lot. Oh, yeah! When, like, they reach out to pet the dog and it bites their hand, and so, like, they end up shooting, like, a laser beam out of their mouth or something. Konnichiwa! Hi, Tsumaki! I have a friend who named their black cat Sakamoto after the black cat in Nichijou. That series lives in infamy. I saw they named their cat Sakamoto, and I was like, my god, why did I never think of naming my cat Sakamoto? It's perfect! But yeah, City the Animation will be interesting. I sold 15 kids abroad today. Now they'll develop and become the best footballers? Hold on here. You sold them? As in, like, you convinced them to study at university or something overseas? Or is this like a game reference? You never know with Sumaki. You never know with Sumaki. It could be anything. Crazy? Crazy indeed. The Twitch lawyers are waiting the answer. I sold 15 kids, right? I sold 50 kids abroad today too. Like, he just logged into our website and, like, drop shipped some kids. It is also very Tsumaki to just pop into chat, drop some kind of bomb, and then just peace out. Will we find out what's going on? Who knows? Who knows? The Agent of Chaos. Said that so casually too, right? An Agent of Chaos, this one. We made jokes about, like, oh, just 3 moonbeams in a trench coat? That is Sumaki. Sumaki's the one coming up with all the crazy plots. Yeah. The yappers. We love the yapperoonies. Come on. There we go. Ding, boom. Ding, boom. Yeehaw! Now, where were we? Here, I believe was. Yeah, there we go. Rookie number Sexu! And thank you for lurking. Take care. I mean, Zexu is the person that when I reply to him in Discord being like, it doesn't take more effort to use like $30 conditioner versus $5 conditioner. And then Zexu's like, what are you, like a slave seller? I'm like, excuse me? Why are you still talking about that? Because it was wild. At least we moved on from making fun of you for texting and driving, right? At least we moved on from that. Because you don't do that anymore. Right? No! Bad boy. Bad. Bad. Unbelievable. What are we gonna do with you, huh? We're one day, knock on wood, that this never happens. But like now I'm just imagining we're like, Sexy hasn't been online in a while, and then someone looks up the newspapers in like the Caribbean, and there's like something about some kid getting into an accident for texting and driving while watching a stream, and I'm like, oh, that's why they're in the hospital. Like I said, knock on wood. Don't want that to happen. But like that image just popped into my head. Sounds like I might have to dust off the tools. Yep. Time to. Well, I mean, okay. We told Zexu, stop telling us that you're texting and driving, so we stop having to ban you, like, time you out. You stopped telling us. Unfortunately, that was not the smartest option, which would have been to stop doing it outright, but hey, he's learning. He learned the wrong lesson, teenagers, man. Ain't that always how it goes? Speaking of kids and learning the wrong lessons, welcome to UMINEKO, where everything goes wrong and your thoughts don't matter. What happened last time? Beatrice showed up, turned Maria's candy back to normal, made Kanon kiss her shoes. Apparently, she gave both Rosa and Maria letters to, like... Rosa's is supposed to be opened at dinner, so now Rosa is taking on Maria's role. Good times. And now here we are. Maria still hasn't come back. I wonder if she's getting scolded by Aunt Rosa again. Ever since they met Maria at the airport, she'd been romping around, chatting about Halloween the whole time. Maybe she'd cut loose just a little too much. Acting a bit too boisterous on the plane and on the boat, and during lunch because Rosa had cautioned her several times. At times like that, Rosa tended not to scold her much in front of people. More often, she would take Maria aside and scold her alone. So since Maria had been called off somewhere, they figured she must be getting scolded. When they looked at the clock, they realized it was almost 6. Of course, they couldn't imagine she'd been getting scolded all this time. Maybe it was time for some anime she watched every week to start. She probably hadn't left the mansion's parlor. Maybe Battler Summer woke up and they've been playing together. After all, Maria-chan thinks of Battler-kun as a new friend. She must have had a lot of fun when she played Halloween with Battler-kun at the airport. Battler looked like he was having a lot of fun himself. Maybe he's gotten big, but he hasn't changed a bit. That's true. I get the feeling Battler Summer was gracious enough to remain as he was 6 years ago. Shannon, do you remember what he was like then? Yes, because he was, well, very energetic. I also remember the four of us playing together 6 years ago. Shannon acted a lot like a big sister back then. That's right. I get the feeling she was even more dependable then than she is now. Ha ha ha. Back then, I truly didn't understand my place, so... Like, sorry, I was like 12, I didn't fully understand I was a servant. I did quite a few rude things. Don't worry about understanding your place in that sense. When you're on the job is one thing, but when you're taking your break and with us, like now, I'd rather you stay and be friendly, just like the old days. That's right. There's nothing wrong with acting differently depending on whether you're the servant Shannon or off-duty Sayo. You aren't a slave, you're just working as a servant, right? I think of you, Shannon, no, Sayo, as my oldest friend. Thank you very much, milady. It seemed that Shannon understood the hidden meaning behind Jessica's words. After all, she'd heard a bit about Jessica and Kanon's history from both of them. George's glasses fogging over like this just reminds me of Gendo Ikari. You know in anime when they have glasses, like the lens flares on their glasses, they're thinking suspicious things. Apparently George had heard something of that history too. He walked towards the window and looked up at the darkening, rainy sky. Kanon may still be childish in some ways, but I think he's starting to grow a bit in his way of thinking. Well, come on, quit it already. Well, I guess I let myself get swept away by the mood once or twice. After watching you two, I might have gotten a bit jealous, feeling like I was getting left behind. But forget about me. This ain't about me. More importantly, how's it going between you two? Looks like it's going pretty good, huh? Huh? I wonder. Yes. It's going very well. He's about to propose and, ruin everything in this family. In the nicest way. Shannon was lost for words, her face red, while George answered brightly and immediately. That carefree attitude made it easy to see that their relationship was proceeding so perfectly, it'd make anyone envious. Dane, I'm jealous. So, does that mean Shannon's gonna resign and have a party soon? I wonder. Oh, there's a good question. I wonder what she'll say. George laughed teasingly as though pressing Shannon for an answer. It was probably the way they usually flirted when they were alone. Jessica could only smile bitterly and say, yes, thank you, that's enough. I have a dream. You have a dream? A dream of dreams gone by? I don't just mean ambition to become the leader of my own domain in business. I also dream of building a happy family together with a partner I can spend my life with. I want 2 kids at the very least. It'd be nice to be able to do some sports as a whole family. That is a... former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe likes what he hears. is really like, let's have a sports team of a family. If they're playing volleyball, that means with both parents, they need 4 kids. I often talk with Shannon about that kind of thing. Though every time I do, she always laughs and says I'm getting ahead of myself. For some reason, even at the age I am now, I find myself thinking about what it'd be like to live peacefully in my old age. With healthy grown-up kids and grandchildren running around all over the place. If only I could spend the rest of my life at a slow pace surrounded by that, together with Shannon forever. Yeah, you're definitely getting ahead of yourself. But... how should I say it? It sounds like you, George Nissan. Being surrounded by a family like that would probably be so wonderful. The ideal family I've painted in my mind is something like that. To Shannon, who'd been raised in an orphanage, that harmonious image of a family was probably something to be yearned for. And George, who had made an absolute promise to grant that wish for her, may truly have been a fitting person for her to spend her life with. To Jessica, Shannon was a precious friend. George was surely the one most fit to entrust that friend's future to. Well, I don't want to throw cold water on you guys. But Uncle Hideyoshi aside, what are you going to do about Aunt Ava? Won't it be pretty tough to win her over? There's no reason for anyone to worry about something like that. No one but me gets any say in who I choose to be my partner. I will bring Shannon happiness. Whose permission do I need for that? Whoa! George Nissan, that was cool. Can't believe you can say stuff that embarrassing out loud. I don't remember you being that kind of character in the past. As they say, if you don't see a boy for 3 days, you should watch him closely. I don't think boys grow that fast. Girls, sure. I grow as much as anyone. I intend to study more and more and grow to be the man Shannon deserves, the one who can bring her happiness. Maybe even George realized how embarrassing the words coming out of his mouth were. His face turned very slightly red, and he scratched his head. George-san. It's okay. I'm sure Mother will be difficult, but you can leave that to me. You mean like how she literally whispered in Shannon's ear, "Know your place, you stupid, like, servant," or something like that? You'll see. I'll make all the relatives accept you as my partner. Worst case, you get disowned. Awesome. I'm jealous of you, Shannon. Seriously. I'm very grateful that you're willing to go so far. Come to think of it, I'm starting to feel like a third wheel here. Starting to? I would have been out of this room the second they started talking about having kids. Maybe I'd better leave, huh? As Jessica rose with a forced smile from the bed she'd been sitting on, the phone rang. Like, I've hung out with Iduna and her partner before, and anytime they actually start being flirty and stuff, I'm like, okay, I know y'all are in your own house, but come on. Come on, please. I don't want to be rude and be like, ew. But it's like, y'all, can you not have your domestic bliss / your domestic spas in front of me? Thank you. Even if I'm in your house? Yeah. They don't go overboard, but it's like, no flirting and no fighting. Oh god, yeah. There's nothing more awkward than being stuck in a space with a couple fighting. I remembered one time Iduna had to go upstairs and talk to Ace because Ace was upset. And, like, I'm just sitting here on the couch and I'm like, at what point should I just go? Because she was up there for like 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm like, at what point should I just be like, okay, I'm gonna go now, bye. The car rides were always the worst. God, yeah, I've also had that. Like, one time, Iduna and Ace were starting to bicker because Iduna thought we were going to stop for food on the way out of town. Ace did not, and Ace was saying she should have ate before she left, and, like, then he's like, well, okay, like, how am I going to, like, find a place now? And she's like, no, like, it's fine, it's next for next time. It's like, it's clearly not fine, and I'm just here like, I got granola bars in my purse. Here you go. It's like, will that tide you over until we get to, like, the next town on this trip? Because, yeah, the flirting, like, you can just look away from, kind of. When people are fighting, you're like, even if I don't look, I can hear everything. I distinctly remember, in a car there's nowhere to go, yeah, I distinctly remember one time, because I temporarily lived with Ace and Iduna when I, like, first moved to this city, because, like, the timing of, like, starting work at the apothecary and my apartment being ready, there was, like, a gap in between, because they were doing renovations on the apartment first, right? So, like, and then they had, like, this fight because, like, he put a spatula in the sink. And, like, she was, like, not done using the spatula, and it turned into this whole thing. And there was another friend there at the time, and I remember talking to this friend later. I'm like, are they okay? And they're like, yeah, that's a pretty normal fight. I'm like, is it? Because I hadn't been in a relationship at that point. I was like, is it though? Before Jessica picked up the receiver, wondering what this could be about, Shannon looked at the clock and jumped. Apparently she spent too much time on her break. I'm sorry! I forgot it was time for work. Then if you will excuse me, bye! And off she goes. At the same time Jessica picked up the phone, Shannon began dashing out of the room. Shannon! Again, the usual time at the usual place. Yes! Excuse me! And there she goes. She just zips on like, whew. Hello, it's Jessica. Genji-san. Yeah, Shauna's going back to you guys now. We held her up, so please don't scold her. Yeah, yes. I see. So it's almost time for them to get ready for dinner. Dinner. The number one thing you don't want in UMINEKO. Because dinner means trouble. Double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubble. Finnet of a finny snake, in the cauldron boil and bake, eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and eye of dog. I think I got the ingredients slightly incorrect, but it still fits the pattern. Did y'all know I was a pretentious kid and was Is broadcasting a spell? It's Shakespeare! It's from Macbeth! obsessed with Shakespeare when I was like 13. You have no idea what my... You baby scare me. Go see a play. Go read a book. Get some culture. What's Macbeth? Oh, just a book just a play written by William Shakespeare, the guy who invented words like eyeball and alligator. Now I'm just remembering frickin'. There was a Canadian pop artist when I was younger called Sky Sweetnam. And she had a song called Billy S. And it was like, I don't need no Billy Shakespeare, no Juliet, or Malvolio. What I want is something about break it out. William Shakespeare, the famous playwright, wrote Romeo and Juliet, King Lear, The Tempest, Macbeth, Hamlet, Midsummer Night's Dream. If you ever see a fairy called Oberon, it's because of Shakespeare. So that whole character in Sword Art Online, yeah, that's because of Shakespeare. Research? Yeah, free up some space in that brain get rid of some stuff about League. Make some room for some classics. Shakespeare wrote SAO. Would it be the craziest thing? Shut up? No! Art didn't know who Stephen King was, and now Zexy doesn't know who Shakespeare is. I am worried for the future. I know you did just say that. I did. You can wind it. You can roll the tape back. I stand by what I said. Is Shakespeare not in every school? I guess it would depend on where you are in the world. I know it's in the US and Canada, in a lot of Europe as well. I know it comes up in Japan as well, because I've seen it in anime. Many plates were lined up on the counter in the kitchen. Preparations for dinner were proceeding steadily. The number of plates lined up there was 19. Ah, yes, Beto's coming to dinner. Great. That was one more that should have been set up for the annual family conference. Pretty much all of your Shakespeare history from school, personally. I mean, that's fair. That's where it stops for most people. My family, Mama and Papa and Millis are cultured. For 5 to 6 years, every year, we went to Stratford. Because now you may know that as the town where Justin Bieber comes from in Canada. But they have annual Shakespeare festival every year. Because, like, Stratford is the name of the town in England where Shakespeare was born. So for 5 to 6 years, every summer, Mama and Papa and Mellis would take me to go see a Shakespeare play at this festival. Because because I really like Shakespeare. I mean, reading the Shakespeare plays is kind of eh. Seeing them performed live is pretty cool, though. What did I see? I saw King Lear. I saw The Tempest. I can't remember what else I saw. The Tempest sticks out because it was the 1 year Papa Amelis splurged for seats closer to the stage. It's a very different experience when you're close enough that you can see the actors basically spitting from how hard they're projecting their lines. Very, very different. I mean, seeing Shakespeare performed instead of just seeing it in a book or something, very different as well. During COVID, they were doing the plays on YouTube to try and keep the festival alive. If the recordings are still up there, I highly recommend checking it out. Like, if you have any interest in seeing, like, what Shakespeare looks like when it's a play, like, when it's actually acted out. The Merchant of Venice play was a bizarre experience. Ah, yes! Where, Portia, the female character, shows up in male clothing to be a lawyer. And she's still flirting with her fiancé, and her fiancé's like, why is this dude hitting on me? I can't accept it. Why can't I deliver it directly? But it flared up again, she paying no heed to the pot that was spitting steam. Sir, you're burning dinner. Get your priorities in order. You probably will, though I'm reading some stuff here, and you've seen some, but you didn't know Shakespeare was responsible. Ah, I see. That's interesting, though. I'm sure someone could definitely write a paper about how having internet and video games and stuff at an earlier age let kids form their own bubbles earlier on, and so they got less exposed to, like, general pop culture. Because, yeah, even before Shakespeare was a thing we studied in school, I knew about it. Like, A, it was in that Carmen Sandiego game I played with you guys, and B, it was just, you know, it's just stuff you passively absorbed. Like, I knew the story of Romeo and Juliet when I was little. The master enjoyed eating alone in his study, so his food needed to be served in that room. However, that was something that always happened. Of course, Goda would want to set the table for the master with his own hands, since he put his heart and soul into his cooking. But the master had imposed a strict rule that none but the servants bearing the gold eagle crest enter his study. So while Goda would be able to greet the master from outside the study, not once had he been granted the honor of carrying his cooking inside. Goda-san was always irritated by this. Of course, he was a newcomer in terms of years of service. However, he had piled up plenty of experience from his previous jobs. And he was quite confident that he'd be able to perform in front of Kinzo in a manner that would do him no disservice. And yet, simply because he was not permitted to wear the golden eagle, he still hadn't been blessed with this honor. Can you imagine what damage that would do to his pride? You might think tonight was a repeat of that, but it wasn't. Because tonight, there was a person other than the master who wanted their food carried to their room. Apparently, this person is an extremely rare and honored guest, and we've been given strict orders to treat them in the same manner as the master, the family head. Goda-san must have wanted to earn some points by serving this honored guest with his own hands. And yet, after all, he was an extremely vain person. If he wasn't qualified to serve the master, then at least a guest of the same rank. Nice guy, huh? What a treasure. He simply couldn't find time during lunch, so Kanon-san had gone in his place. So he truly desired to be the person to serve tonight's meal. The best dinner of the year. But Genji-san will put a stop to that. Something about how Goda-san didn't wear the golden eagle. Oof. Goda's about to crash out. After being told more than once that he wasn't qualified, Goda-san lost his patience. I mean, I get it's annoying, but also, don't get mad at who is essentially your direct superior. That's not a good way to climb the ranks. So heart-rending, Goda-san. Cannot do anything more than watch like this from the shadows. Kumasawa-san, if you have enough free time to dawdle around, please go get the dining hall ready. My bad. Is the tablecloth set? Oh, my apologies. There she goes! When it became her turn to bear his wrath, Kumasawa slid out into the hallway. Beatrice-sama is of the exact same rank as the master. All rules regarding her are to be respected just as much as those involving the master. Goda-san, please devote your attention entirely towards your own tasks and serve all the relatives. I wouldn't mind if it was you, Genji-san, but is it really okay to let a child like this serve such a guest? If she made some blunder, it would be quite embarrassing. We know they've served her a long time, but that doesn't mean they've been trained in the proper areas. If you'll allow me to speak freely, they are completely lacking in the fundamentals that might qualify them to interact with such a guest. Damn, really saying that in front of her face, huh? Go to bluntly, even though Shannon was standing right there in the kitchen. Shannon was the one whom Genji had ordered to carry dinner to Beatrice's room. By the ranking system among the servants permitted to wear the Golden Eagle, Shannon certainly was the second highest in rank. If the highest ranked Genji went to set the table in Kinzo's room, then it fell to Shannon to set the table in Beatrice's room. Goda's pride was horribly injured by this ranking system. At times like this, he'd speak out bluntly and rudely against Shannon and Kanon. Who hired this guy? Did no one explain the Golden Eagle thing to him when he was interviewing? Like... Goda kept raising examples of each of Shannon's failures until now, making a ruckus about how she couldn't do this or was terrible at that. Shannon, who listened to this with her head hung in shame, heard Kanon's voice from behind her. Kanon had been leaning against the wall in the hallway near the kitchen entrance, a blind spot from the inside, and had been listening to all of this. He probably knew that if he entered the kitchen, sparks would start to fly his way. I've got to say it. That man's scum. But we could learn a lot about the fundamental of entertaining guests from him. Goto-san has learned so much, so he'd be a great reference. Nei-san, you sure are nice. More importantly, is the guest in the VIP room really Beatrice-sama, as they say? Yes, I met her when I went to serve her lunch. There can be no doubt it's her. Really? Was she doing well? She made me kiss her shoes. What do you think? Kanon remembered that he and Shannon had different impressions of Beatrice. To Shannon, Beatrice was a cupid of love who had granted her magic to establish her relationship with George. Oh God. Frosty's calling out not knowing who Shakespeare is. Whoops. Judging by the expression that rose to her face, it looked like she couldn't wait to inform Beatrice of how her relationship with George had progressed. However, Kanon already knew. That witch came here with a terrifying goal in mind. The nebulous witch that only they'd been able to see in the past had now revived so fully that she could walk in openly through the front door, and even have dinner carried to her. Once, when she'd vanished from in front of Kanon, the witch said something about how her own power was still weak. So if that witch was now appearing so openly, did it mean she'd finally regained her former power? And she said something else, too. She definitely said that she'd sown the seeds of love, while fully aware that they would fall. Fall. I guess technically close enough. And she'd said even more. She definitely said that the day had finally come upon which the door to the Golden Land would be opened. Shannon? She's planning to hold some bizarre ceremony with the Master. And you can bet it'll be something too horrible to imagine. And no one will be able to resist. What are you talking about? She came here as the Master requested. So that the door to the Golden Land would be open. And so that everything would be returned to the Golden Land. She definitely said that to me. In the past, the two of them, as furniture working for Kenzo, had been told what opening the door to the Golden Land implied. So Shannon understood everything without having to ask a single question. Because of that, she felt a deep despair. Something tore at Kanon's heart as he looked at that expression twisted with grief. How could? Why? Why now? Why not now? If not now, then when? Didn't I tell you? We are furniture. Because you acted like a human because of love, you're incapable of obediently accepting the day our service comes to an end. Once, I wished this day would come. But it never came, year after year. I didn't know how long we'd be forced to endure suffering as furniture. So I thought that day of rest would come for all eternity. I thought the same thing, but I believed that it would definitely come someday. So I never forgot that I'm furniture. But Nei-san, you did forget. It's my fault, isn't it? It was I who Yeah, it's your fault, Nason. If only you hadn't experienced love, we'd both be happy that this day had finally come. Kanon, you're so mean. And for what? Why? You built up too many pointless regrets, even though you knew you'd have to leave this world someday. Will the ceremony begin tonight? Yes. She said one more thing. Tonight, George Sama will probably give you an engagement ring, Nason. That was a fact. George supposedly had an engagement ring hidden in his pocket today. And surely, he would hand it over tonight. She brought you two together, planning to use you as the sacrifices for the second twilight. Get it? She tempted you and took advantage of you. I see. I never thought of that. But she told me. She promised that if you don't accept the engagement ring tonight, you won't be chosen as a sacrifice, Nason. I think our chances of being able to go to the Golden Land together are very slim. There will be 13 sacrifices. Only 5 will be left alive. The chances of us being part of that group are tiny. But if you just accept her offer, those chances will rise. I want to take that bet. Our salvation is in the Golden Land. We're gonna reach that place and gain humanity. And then I want to live life as a human together with you, Nason. If we do that, we might be able to find true love. In the past, we used to dream about being able to go to the Golden Land. If we go there, any wish will be granted. We'll be saved from this pain. That's what we believed. However, in this ceremony, only a few people would be invited to the Golden Land, chosen by fate and chance. Everyone else would lose their life as sacrifice midway through the ceremony. However, in the past, Shannon and Kanon had thought that whether they reached the Golden Land or were sacrificed, they would still be released from their duties as furniture. That meant that this ceremony would definitely bring release to furniture like them, no matter what happened. I don't like it. Together with you, I want to make up for all the suffering we've endured. I won't become a sacrifice. Nason and I will remain alive. And we'll reach the Golden Land together. So, I won't let you become the sacrifice of the second twilight. Please, Nason! Don't accept that man's ring. If you don't accept, she promised not to turn you into a sacrifice. I cannot do that. Tonight's ring is very special. My heart won't let me refuse it. Nason! The sacrifices of the ceremony are decided on the witch's whims. And that witch has promised to overlook just you, Nason. You alone will definitely be able to go to the Golden Land. Only me? What about you, Kanon-kun? This witch's game is enough for me. I'll slip through her clutches. I am not powerless. I'll tightly grasp that faint chance. After all, our lives are transient, aren't they? And order to begin our real lives. Let's drag ourselves to the Golden Land. Then we will gain humanity. And when we've done that, maybe we'll be able to, or maybe I'll be able to experience romance just like you, Nason. Maybe I won't have to make someone cry just because I'm furniture. Come on, I've had enough of being furniture. I'll definitely become human. I'll escape this pain no matter what. There were tears in Kanon's eyes. By now, Kanon had noticed. Shannon hadn't been the only one to know and suffer from the taste of love. He had too. The tears Jessica had shown him that day, and Jessica's pitiful face as she tried to smooth things over and stay bright ever since then, had slowly wrought some kind of change on Kanon's heart without him knowing it. Shannon, I have been calling to you for some time now. Shannon jumped at the sudden sound of Genji's voice. Apparently he had called for her repeatedly. She hurriedly answered. When she turned back, Kanon had disappeared. It seemed he didn't feel like showing his tears to anybody. Yes, I'm sorry for being careless. I entrusted Kanon with lunch, but it should have been you as the next in rank after me who carried it. Beatrice-sama is the most honored guest of this house. There is no more honored guest than her. Please think of her as another master and be polite. Please take extra care that you make no blunders, understand? It is quite painful for me to entrust this to someone as inexperienced as yourself, but there's nothing I can do about the house's rules. Carry out your duties with the utmost of care. Goda had officially agreed, but he glared at Shannon with an expression that told her he definitely wouldn't forgive any mistakes. Even Shannon felt that Goda might as well go himself if he was so desperate. But she considered this one of her responsibilities, as one who had been allowed to wear the Golden Eagle, and had to give up. And anyway, I wanted to meet Beatrice. What will I talk about? What will I ask? I don't know. Will this be a meeting of gratitude? Or one of grief? Or else, what? I don't know. Shannon piled the witch's food onto the serving cart and left the kitchen at a slow pace. The person knocking was Klaus. Father, today is our annual family conference. Haven't the siblings gathered here just to get a glimpse of you? Ah, be silent. Oh, here he is again. I say I won't leave. You're there too, aren't you, Genji? Why haven't you had my food brought here as I ordered you to? Enzo screamed across the door. Genji was waiting behind Klaus. The meal has been prepared so that it might be carried to the study. However, Klaus-sama has expressed his wish that you eat downstairs tonight. Father, I'm not asking you to do this every day. Won't you gather together with your family? Who are you calling family? Since when have you considered vultures circling and wait for roadkill to be family? Would you call rotting, oozing maggots family as well? Damn. My. Kraus shrugged at this answer, which he had half expected. Genji, carry the meal here as you were told. Why don't you listen to what I say? Why? Okay, calm down. This just reminds me of a nurse I worked with at an older apothecary. She talked about how envious she was of the elderly because they could just act like children and with very little consequences. And she's like, I can't wait to get old and just start shit because I feel like it. That's kind of what Kinzo having a temper tantrum reminded me of. You start out as a kid in diapers, and then at the end of your life, you are back to being a kid. Just in an adult's body. These assignments are killing you. You can do it! Make sure you take a break. The human mind has only so much capacity to maintain attention, so make sure you take breaks and you'll actually be more efficient. Finished 70% now? That's pretty good. Good job. Genji, I leave this in your capable hands. My voice will no longer reach that man. Faust gave his head a small shake, then quickly turned his back to the door on the study. You have taken dozens of breaks, but now your back is about to break? Well, stand up then, silly. Go take a walk. He had only come calling to save face in front of his siblings, knowing full well how useless this was. After Genji watched Faust disappear down the stairs, he called across the door. I feel like a grandma. I need someone to practice. Twist. That's how I crack my back. Like, just do some gentle twisting. And eventually it should pop. Like back twist? Yeah! So, sit. Like with your legs crossed, like, you know, like the crisscross applesauce. Raise your arms up above your head. Twist to one side. And bring your arms down so you touch the ground to your right. Like in the direction you twisted. Then arms go back up and twist to the other side. Arms down. Like, it gently works a knot, and eventually it pops. Master, we have finished preparations for your meal to be carried here. Shall we bring some for Dr. Nanjo as well? Genus, you feel better? Excellent! Yeah, as someone with a desk job, because even though I work at the apothecary, I'm stuck sitting at the counter all day. You learn some like basic yoga and stretching, so you don't, like, you know, your joints don't seize up. Nanjo could be seen in the study because Kinzo had forcefully pestered him into finishing their long-lasting chess game. They'd been playing against each other since the early evening. But just thinking of the assignments, yeah, I feel ya. Nanjo had announced as a doctor that Kinzo's days were numbered, so he couldn't refuse if Kinzo demanded that they finish this game while he still lived. Kinzo was thinking deeply about his next move, concentrating more than usual. It had been Kinzo's turn for quite some time, and Nanjo, who was tired of waiting, had randomly pulled out a book on magic that he couldn't understand and was skimming it. They need the timer for the moves. Giving yourself unlimited time to make a chess move is how this game has taken like years to finish, or like months. Kinzo-san, You won't think of a good move just by folding your arms and staring in front of the board. That is criminal. No timer for chess. I mean, it's like the only way you could have chess move at a quick pace. I mean, you don't need, like, you know, a 1-minute timer or something, but, like, if you keep your partner waiting so long, they pull out a book? I don't know. I think there needs to be a rule at that point. Perhaps we had better take a break and refresh our minds. Be silent. That should be enough to solidify my defense. Will the bishop and the knight be able to penetrate that opening? Maybe you shouldn't be announcing your strategies out loud, you know? "2 a.m. matcha? Ooh. All the best moves are announced before use. You know what? You're right. This is like, you know the Mahjong animes? This is just the chess version of it. Today, Kinzo was focused on maintaining a strong defense. Normally, Kinzo's motto was that offense was the best defense. I am also hungry. Shall we suspend the game here? Besides, I've used my head so much without a break that I'm already feeling dizzy. Rest in peace. He's doing his best. At this rate, I might not be able to perform at my best. Now that won't do. Oh, that's what gets your attention, huh? In chess, both players must always make their best moves. Any other sort of move is merely a nuisance to consider, ruining a game whose focus is predicting your opponent's thoughts. Predicating? What the hell am I on? Such a thing considerably reduces our enjoyment. Kinzo sighed deeply and finally shifted his gaze away from the board. Chess isn't chess without an opponent. I mean, you can play yourself, technically. If the opponent is tired and wants to suspend the game, there's no getting around it. True, the goal of chess is for both players to make the best possible moves and aim for victory. It's an intellectual game where reading your opponent is key. But Kinzo, have you forgotten there's another goal besides victory? What? What are you saying, you liar? What other goal could there possibly be? Oh no, enjoyment? Having fun? Well, to think you of all people would forget something like that. Chess is a way to pass the time having fun with a friend. You've got me there. I believe I once said those exact words to you, long ago. Yes, you've got me there. Kinzo, who almost always wore a frown, relaxed his face for once and laughed. Nanjo felt that he'd been reunited with a close friend he hadn't seen in years. No! Man's having a moment and being himself before he dies. That's how it is. Now that I've managed to take a shot back at you, what do you say? Will you go down with me and have dinner? Why don't we discuss Kasparov's middle game with some coffee? An appealing proposition, but I'm afraid I must decline. I can no longer leave this room. After all, the ceremony has already begun. Is that so? Well, my stomach is growling. I will go downstairs. Anytime you feel like it, Nanjo. Thank you. Oh? What could you be thanking me for? We did finish our match. However, it seems I have somehow achieved that second goal of chess, which I had forgotten. And it would appear that goal is no less important than achieving checkmate. This isn't like you. Why so sentimental? You said it yourself, did you not? My days in this world are numbered. Now go, and don't come to this room again. Let us continue this match in the Golden Land. That's fine with me, but we'll have to start over. Losing that rook was a serious blow. Well then, I will see you later. Yes, later. Maybe in the Golden Land. Or in Purgatory. Or possibly in the next world. Nanjo didn't say anything beyond that. And with a motion made smooth by familiarity, he pushed the button on the table that would release the auto lock. Then, after looking at Kinzo's back one last time, he left the study. As he did, Genji's voice came from the hall. If you are ready, master, I will now carry in your dinner. It may be my final dinner. I must savor it. Please prepare it, as you wish. And are your preparations complete as well, master? Indeed. In the time leading up to this day, this room has been carefully wrapped in a multitude of barriers. Even if roulette chooses me, I will definitely repel it. I will remain alive, and will surely become one of those who reach the Golden Land. I shall repulse the visit of the Reapers trying to drag me off to the land of the dead. Well, how's that working for you, huh? Excuse me. I have come to serve your meal. Shannon entered the VIP room, bowing her head and pushing the serving cart. The young woman by the window, gazing out into that supposedly empty darkness, was definitely that witch. So, it is Shannon this time. Oh, this is a new song. How long it's been. Oh, your face isn't nearly as pale as it once was. I can see you're no Kanon. I hardly recognize you. Thank you very much. Shannon solemnly prepared dinner. There were several things she wanted to ask the witch, but they were all jumbled up, and she didn't know where to start. Her heart was also jumbled up, and she didn't even understand her own emotions. So she could only do her job dispassionately, with everything still vague. However, the witch saw what was in her heart. Can't hide anything from a witch. I won't apologize. I am a witch after all. Apologize for what? Come now. Kanon must have told you about it. I only rescued your love life because of my mischievous spirit. It was nothing more than a seed I sowed so I could watch your life grow, become complicated, become twisted, and fail. I imagine some people think it's more fun to hear about love than to have it. Huh, you couldn't possibly be trying to thank me, right? I am. No matter what kind of ulterior motive you had when you gave me the magic of love, it doesn't change the fact that I received it from you. So, even if you sowed the seeds, knowing the two of us wouldn't be able to stay together for life, I won't hold a grudge against you. Seems furniture is dull after all. This is where I show my skill by cooking it into something interesting. I don't understand what you're thinking, Beatrice-sama. You are a great witch, and people like us don't even reach your feet. Nor can we even imagine your grand thoughts. But there is at least one thing I can say. What is it? Thank you for teaching me to be a human. You said it yourself. I am no longer furniture. Be silent, furniture. If you were a true human, hearing the announcement of your death on the day that you were to receive an engagement ring should have you dancing around, mad with grief. Well, what are you doing? Your face looks so enlightened, as though you've accepted everything. Truly an anticlimactic, furniture. No, I am not furniture. Be silent, furniture. I won't be silent, because I'm not furniture. Are you saying you won't obey my orders? Furniture obeys orders, but a human decides for herself whether to obey orders or not. So I won't obey your orders. I take back what I said. You really are interesting. If I hadn't sowed those seeds, you probably would have allowed the ceremony to control your fate without clinging to any emotion. But now you've grown to become something truly interesting. Something that will entertain me to no end. That is well. For I am not fond of boredom. Dinner is ready. Here you go. Doesn't this look delicious? If Goda makes it to the Golden Land, perhaps I shall commission him as my chief cook. I heard from Kanon something about how if I rejected George-san's proposal, he promised not to make me a sacrifice. Indeed, I said as much. You would make an ideal potential sacrifice for the second twilight. But because Kanon cried and screamed, asking that I spare you, I graciously listened to his words. With the condition that you abandon your engagement, of course. See how gracious I am? What a foolish offer. And what a foolish threat. So you used that to thoroughly bully Kanon-kun, did you? Oh? So you comprehend. Apparently Shannon had seen through it. She had apparently guessed at how the witch had bullied and humiliated Kanon with that horrible promise as bait. I made him crawl on the carpet and kiss my shoes. And that's not all. You want to hear the other ways in which I humiliated him? Shannon silently shook her head. I finally come to understand you. You like to bully, confuse, and trouble people, and you do it to entertain yourself. So now I know for sure the one single way I can resist you. And what might that be? I don't care about you. I'll carry out the fate that has been given to me. That's all. I won't entertain you. I don't care about you? The witch's features twisted in hatred for just an instant. Disappeared immediately. But the expression that briefly rose to her face was rare. Whose malicious smile usually never faded for a second. I see. So you might resist me in that way. How amusing. How truly entertaining. I'll kill you. You and your lover both. That's the fate you've decided upon. Do as you will. I won't be afraid, and I won't stand against you. After all, I don't believe that the cruel fate that's coming is controlled by your will. We humans know nothing about fates that might come to pass in the future. That's why I'll live to the fullest until the last instant, following my convictions and the fate set before me. Fate is just a roll of the dice. There's no malice in it. Even if you claim there is, I won't believe it. Oh. So even though you've quit being furniture, you have no fear of death. It seems you believe this will bore me, but you couldn't be more wrong. The thought of seeing whether you can hold on to that view until the last moment merely serves to intrigue me more and more. I can't stand this. Why did you take the form of a human, appear in front of us, speak with human words, and ridicule us? If you hadn't appeared in front of us, if you hadn't predicted the future, I would have been able to live life to the fullest until the last moment. That's what witches do. I live off your fates, reigning as a high-order being does over low-order beings. Your fates are nothing more than fragments. If I cup my hands together, I could scoop out as many of those as I want. Just like how, no matter what the beef cows I raise might babble, it doesn't change the fact that I'll be having them for dinner. We are powerless, so we cannot fight against your ceremony or fate. But we can make you unhappy right now. Oh? And how are you planning to accomplish this? By walking away from this place right now. No matter how I respond to your words, it will only amuse you. Refusing to respond to your questions is my only method of resisting you. I see. You might be able to take a shot at me, but you cannot defeat me, yes? I have the power to kill anyone for eternity. I cannot wait to see whether you can keep up that resistance and an endlessly repeating cycle of death and rebirth. Don't you forget it, okay? You spoke those words yourself. Well then, if you will excuse me. If you need anything, please call me. Shannon gave a reserved bow and faced away. With that gesture, maybe she really did take a shot back at the witch, just as Beatrice had said. Because when the witch called out again, she sounded a little more quick-tempered than she had before. Canon thanked me. Can't you? Can't you thank me for bringing you your day of rest? Furniture may be happy when their day of rest comes, but I am a human, so I have nothing to thank you for. Is that all you have to say? You plan to accept George's ring, yes? Don't forget that if you do, I will abandon the promise I made with Canon. The promise that you would not be selected as a sacrifice. If you need anything else, I'll have someone else come, if you will excuse me. A flat-out interruption. Shannon still hadn't answered her. And the sound of the door closing came instead of an answer. Shannon's resistance probably struck far more deeply into the witch than Shannon herself thought. Because an expression of hatred once again arose to Beatrice's face. She had made Canon submit, even though he hadn't been ensnared until the end. Whereas Shannon, who had been so easily ensnared before, refused to submit this time. I see. So this state of affairs is amusing after all. Perhaps I really am still young. This is why I have been tired of life after 1,000 years. Thank you for the care package, Ranger! You got distracted? Terrible. Crazy! This was the most fabulous part of the family conference. You love the rain sound? The sound design in this game is great. During a stream? How dare you? How dare you? I must be full, front and focused, no exception. I'm kidding. Yeah, there's plenty of tracks like this on YouTube and stuff, but the mixing for this one is just, yeah. You're playing 5G chess, oh dear. Hang in there. This was the most fabulous part of the family conference. Dinner. Yay, food! In the past, when Kinzel had been serious about the conference, he'd taken everyone's yearly gathering for dinner very seriously. You know, before all this happened. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5G's expansion! Yeah! Ah, yes, Pinaconi, you're ready for the Fate collab in 3 days. Any embarrassments during dinner would shame him greatly as the host, so he had given Natsuhi stern orders to avoid such mishaps at all costs. Because of that, she and Klaus eventually hired Goda, who had confidence in his cooking abilities. You may swipe your card. Oh my god. He finally cracked. Like they all do. Everyone eventually breaks out the card. Thanks to that, they became able to serve wonderful dinners so that they could be wonderful dinners that they could be confident in. But by that time, Kinzel had closed himself up in his study and never appeared for dinner. You'd love to live where this is, on an isolated island somewhere in Japan. Fair enough. It's like a 10-kilometer wide island. We're struck on? Oh, I don't know about that. Considering everyone in this family dies in horrible ways, I really don't think you would like it. Plus, it's 1986. There ain't no video games for you to play. I think the NES was barely a thing in 1986. No League? Definitely not. There wasn't even the internet. Maybe you could call that ironic. When the main dish for dinner for tonight, calf steak, was set out, Goda began to describe it proudly, further stimulating everyone's appetites. Never mind for track statement. Can't live without League confirmed. The sauce here is Bordelaise. Of course, the red wine base I used was excellent even among those made in Bordeaux, but in addition I prepared an original blend of this house. A blend of choice alcohol from around the world to further deepen the taste. The sauce is limited to this year. I sincerely hope you all enjoy your meal. Isn't that wonderful? However, isn't Bordelaise sauce common to French cooking? It almost seems like using alcohol from outside France with this is heresy. Klaus-sama, today is the annual family conference. As a dinner for those who normally live far away and who have traveled far across the world to gather together, I realized it would be more fitting to have a sauce made from a blend of fine alcohols from all over the planet that have never met each other before. So I had it specially prepared. Wonderful! A truly wonderful cook. That's what you are. Food and medicine work twice as well if you sell it, right? It's already twice as delicious as normal food. And the advertising makes it twice as good as that. The taste keeps doubling and doubling. Come on, Nissan. That question of yours was obviously a plant. No doubt about it. You totally sent Golder out to steal the show on that one. You think so? I thought there might be some people here who didn't notice that today's food was in the French style. After all, Ava just said that avoiding butter was a virtue, but that's the Spanish style. Well, I guess they do share a border, right? That's not what I meant. Will you please not take a part of the conversation out of context and make stuff up? It's a very delicious sauce. Goda-san, you certainly are amazing. It's a great honor to receive your praise. And this is all thanks to Madame's habitual guidance. No, it was all Goda's idea. I only listened to the recipe and approved of it. It looked like the siblings quickly got into a large argument about the sauce. But for the most part, dinner proceeded peacefully. However, a certain question they desperately wanted to ask burned inside each one of them. It was about that visitor, the 19th person, the Golden Witch. In actuality, Ava and Rudolph and the rest were very much on their guards during the meal. If the mystery guest was ever going to be introduced, this dinner table would be the most appropriate place to do it. However, no place was set at the dinner table for the witch. The family conference would begin in earnest after the meal, and previous experience told them that it might last until deep into the night. However, they couldn't imagine why such a person would be kept hidden until that late if they were going to be introduced in the end anyway. Wow, this is great music for dinner. So Ava and Rudolph and the rest were starting to feel a certain suspicion. Perhaps this guest was unknown even to Kraus. This wasn't an assassin called by Kraus to give him an advantage in the inheritance problem. Then maybe they should speak frankly to Kraus beforehand, creating a common front to resist anything disadvantageous to the four siblings. If she was Kinzo's assassin, whose purpose was to keep their inheritance from being handed over to the four siblings, the enmity between Kraus and the other siblings could only become a weak point that benefited the enemy. Well then, please enjoy at your leisure. When he finished explaining the reasoning behind the table setting and the cooking, Goda tried to leave the room, but Kirie called him to a stop with a small voice. Yes, Kirie-sama? What is it? Please excuse me. I was under the impression we had a company today. But can we expect to be joined at the dinner table? She had planned on saying it nonchalantly, but unfortunately it reached the ears of Natsuhi, who was sitting in the next seat over. It seemed that Natsuhi had heard it as, even though the guests are here, why hasn't the host come to dinner? In other words, that Kirie had asked whether Kinzo was going to join them for dinner. The family head is not at his best, so he said he would take dinner in his study. I believe my husband explained that in the beginning. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. Natsuhi's reaction instantly told Kirie that this unknown visitor was also unknown to Kraus and his wife. which meant on the chessboard inside Kyrie's mind, she could hear the clattering of the pieces as they rearranged themselves. Here we go! Spinning the chessboard, everybody put $1 in your savings account. What do you mean we have company? Battler, who had been sitting next to Nasi, seems to have heard Kyrie's words without misunderstanding them. Thinking it strange that someone else would be invited to today's family conference, he spoke up incredulously. I cannot speak today! And thanks to that, the uncomfortable feeling building in the siblings' chest suddenly exploded. Everyone looked at Goda at the same time. Judging by their reactions, it was clear that no one here had invited that mystery woman. What a dick. For an instant, Goda was startled to find everyone's gazes gathered on him. But because of his naturally vain personality, this actually gave him a feeling of superiority. Therefore, he answered in an extremely calm and graceful manner. That is correct. Our guest wanted to eat alone in the VIP room and is being served there. That extremely graceful and reasonable response of Goda's made it obvious to everyone that a 19th person, a visitor, existed. The VIP room? A guest? Who are you talking about? Nasuhi's words echoed the question that everyone who didn't know about the appearance of the Golden Witch was thinking. For a while, Goda was disoriented, caught completely off guard by the sudden interrogation. This was a guest who had been treated with such deep respect. He hadn't imagined that Klaus and his wife might not even know about her. The guest is, Beatrice-sama. Beatrice! See? Beatrice came! Maria had been telling the other cousins over and over again that she had met Beatrice that day. The cousins had answered flippantly, but they hadn't believed, so their eyes grew wide. Sorry. I totally thought you were joking, Maria. So she really was there. By Beatrice, you mean that Beatrice with the gold? I've been saying she exists the whole time. No one believes. Sorry, Maria-chan. That's not how we meant it. After learning that everyone had doubted Beatrice's existence, Maria, who had been in a good mood all day, completely lost her temper. She has not been in a good mood all day. What are you talking about? George, who sat in the next seat over, tried frantically to calm Maria. Goda? Is this some sort of dinner entertainment? Quite a performance. Aniki, quit playing dumb. You called her here, right? Called? Called whom? From where? Nissan? Let's be clear about this. Who is she? Surely you are going to tell us it really is the Beatrice from that portrait, right? I don't have a clue who you people are talking about. Goda, you really aren't joking, right? I was just ordered by Genji-san, call for Genji immediately. When Nasuhi yelled, Goda sped out into the hallway. The sound of the door being thrown open was the spark that suddenly set the dinner table ablaze. So you're saying you're in the dark too, Aniki? Who called her? Was it Dad? She just showed up on her own. I don't know anything about this. It seems you people think I've been pulling the strings behind the scenes, but that's a huge misunderstanding. Calm down, Klaus Nisa. We've gone past the stage of skirmishing with each other. You're saying even you don't know this mystery person, that something crazy's going on. Hideyoshi-san, can't you be a little more discreet with your words? My husband would not invite unnecessary people to the family conference. Big boss, Beatrice! Beatrice! Obviously, what are you people talking about? Are you saying the witch of the portrait has broken out of her frame and appeared? It's not as though anyone actually met this witch face to face. I met her. Eva and Rudolph nodded at Rosa's proclamation. I met her too! Uncle Kraus, believe it! I'm a cute kitty cat. Aw, thank you. Believe Nana. Oh! The brief tension was broken, and Maria also started to make a ruckus. By now, the room was thoroughly wrapped in chaos. I don't have a clue what's going on. So what does it mean? Does it mean that the witch who gave grandfather the gold is showing up as a special guest this year? There's an anime of this? Yeah! I was more into Higurashi than UMINEKO back when the animes were airing. So I'm finally getting around to UMINEKO. But is that really true? Aunt Rosa didn't see it wrong. Did she? I met her too! Whoa! Aunt Rosa, are you sure? Yes. Maria and I met her, and we even talked to her. I met her. That was definitely a witch. Believe me. I definitely didn't see it wrong or hallucinate or anything. What on earth was that? Also, there's the letter you got given that you're supposed to read. Don't forget about that. And the instant before the typhoon arrived, Rosa definitely met a witch in the rose garden. But the scene had been so hard to accept as truth that the more she spoke of it like this, the less she understood what it was she had encountered. Ironically, since she was losing her composure, the more frantically she tried to cling to her claim, the more confused and hazy the thing she was describing became. Because of that, it only took a single calmly spoken sentence to confirm the nature of what she was describing beyond doubt. I also met with her. I greeted, well, I couldn't really call it that. I exchanged a few words with her. It's definitely not something that Rosa-san just saw wrong. Kirie-san, are you serious? Yes, but she didn't tell me her name. So I can't say for certain that she was Beatrice. You gotta catch a bit of, lucky I got to catch a bit of UMINEKO. Hello, Amatis, welcome in. However, and sorry if this is subjective, the portrait changed. But since I met her in the entrance hall, I was able to compare her face with the portrait. My first impression was that this portrait has to be hers. This is all just subjective. That isn't possible. Is this my first time? It is indeed my first time. In the first place, where did that woman come from? The only boat arriving today was the one that brought all of you here. Was she on that boat? Well, it's hard to say for sure. Of course, I don't remember any woman like that getting off the boat with us. You're in for a ride? Oh, yeah. Chapter 1 was already pretty crazy. It'll be interesting to see how Chapter 2 goes. Oh, is that all? Can you prove there wasn't a boat beside the one we rode on? You can't. You can't prove one didn't arrive. Makes sense. If another boat did arrive, it might be possible to prove it. If someone saw it and they said they saw it, then you're done. But it's impossible to prove that such a boat didn't arrive. Even if everyone says that no such boat arrived, that they didn't see it arrive, you can't prove that it didn't arrive secretly. Ah, yes. We're talking hypotheticals here. We're just running in circles. She just, she rode herself over from Nijima. She got one of those rubber inflatable boats with a motor, and she just, she brought herself over. Then she, deflated the boat and hit it. Problem solved. Actually read, horror... No, sorry. Yeah, I guess it was technically horror. It was like a murder mystery set on an island. Very similar to UMINEKO, actually. But this book, was it The Blue House? Murders was published before UMINEKO, so it's more accurate to say UMINEKO might have taken some inspiration from that one. The author of that book is, oh, what's his name? Ayato Tsuji? It's the author who wrote Another. You know, the anime / book where, like, a girl trips on the stairs and dies because the umbrella punctures her throat. That one. It's that thing they call a devil's proof. It'd be simple to prove that devils exist. All you have to do is meet a devil. But it's impossible to prove that devils don't exist. It's simple to prove that anime boys exist. You just need to meet one. But it's impossible to prove that anime boys don't exist. Just by saying that no one has ever met an anime boy, you can't deny the possibility that they're hiding somewhere humans can't go. You can't deny the existence of aliens for exactly the same reason. Until humanity searches the whole of space, it can show perfectly that aliens don't exist. You can't be sure that they don't exist. Yeah, and also mermaids exist. The chupacabra, the chuchinoko, the Yeti, Sasquatch, Mothman. And it's definitely impossible for us to ever check the entirety of space for the existence of aliens. Therefore, while there may be a number of ways to prove that aliens do exist, it will always be impossible to show proof that denies their existence. So any discussion about there being a second boat would just be a waste of our time. She wasn't on the boat with us. That much is a fact, so she must have arrived on this island through some other means. That's right. There may be no need to discuss how she came here. What's important is that she's actually in the mansion now, and doesn't feel like having dinner with us. I mean, would you want to have dinner with your, like... I nearly said mistress's family, but she would be the mistress, technically. But yeah, like, would you want to have dinner with their whole family? Okay, let's review. Right now, there's another guest on this island. Other than the 18 people with the Ushiromiya family. And this is a guest even Aniki and Natsuhi-san didn't know about. Right? I know nothing! All I know is I know nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. silent for now. Your headache will get worse. It is as my wife says. I have no idea what you people have been talking about until now. Then there can only be one answer. Father Calder here. Calder here for today's family conference. For the family conference? Again, why? I don't know that. I'm questioning you because I thought you might know. Ava, could you give it a rest? Perhaps Nissan said he doesn't know. So here's what we've got. Father stealthily invited the Witch of the Portrait as a secret guest. And she met with Rosa-san and Maria-chan, and then Kirie-san. That's all for now. If she has something to say to us, she could just show herself right away. Now we've got to wonder why she shut herself up without greeting us, because she doesn't want to meet you. Does that mean Dad, who never gave a crap about this family conference, in the first place, secretly called a new mistress here? Now that would be something. Had her wear the clothes of his ideal witch? The day's too important for that explanation to fly. There can only be one reason to join in on the family conference. She wants to claim some of Father's inheritance. No. She doesn't need to claim a part of the inheritance. She is the inheritance. Ridiculous! The family head wouldn't have something as filthy as a mistress. Interesting how Rudolph said a new mistress, implying that Kinzo had mistresses in the past. The Kinzo Defender has logged on. She is ready to go. I mean, they've talked about it briefly, how they never could prove whether or not Kinzo had a mistress, but everyone was convinced he did, including his wife. So it's like, just because they never met her, but they were all convinced she existed. Especially, I mean, I think it was in Chapter 1, so not in this timeline, but, Genji basically confirmed it. Because, yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, they don't have proof, but everyone suspected it. I mean, if someone is like, it was like an arranged marriage, so there's not much love there, and it's super common for rich people to have mistresses on the side, for better or for worse. But they're gonna deny it like Nasuhi because, you know, it's still a scandal, even though everyone knows it's a thing. I told you to be quiet! I've lived at this mansion with Father all this time. I've never heard a thing about something like that. If we stretch plausibility to the limit and assume Father had an illegitimate child with some mistress decades ago, then maybe Father searched her out and called her here today. You don't even know how you lost? What is this game? God. There was like multi-tiered chess in like Star Trek, The Next Generation. I remember that and I was like, it's hard enough to keep track of everything on a flat plane. Can you imagine playing chess when there's like 5 tiers? Dear. It's absurd to think Father had such a child. I mean, If they got a mistress, the odds are yes. Yes, there was a child. Because, I mean, assume any illegitimate child is, like, 20 years old, at least. Because we know Beatrice died, 30 years ago? Genji said? Something like that? So I'm like, were there... I mean, there were, like, contraceptives? Sort of? Back then? But it was more like... It was much more likely, I think, that, like, you would take this herb to, like, try and abort the pregnancy rather than try and prevent it outright. So it's like, if there was a mistress, just assume there was a child. It's not like today where, like, contraceptives are, like, super common and effective. And if you have a child with your mistress, it's because you're an idiot. To waste the noble blood of the Ushinomiya family on a mistress. Natsuhi, you... Ma'am. 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 Kinzo doesn't even like you. This isn't the timeline where he's like, oh, if only you had been my biological daughter instead. This isn't that timeline, girl. You don't need to defend him. He's a grown-ass man. He can defend himself if he wants to. This is nothing more than a few people making wild claims. You carry the one-winged eagle on your heart. Yep. And Shannon's got it tattooed on her thigh, so hey. Ooh! You got a rusty sword from Fishing Ranger. Congratulations. Now all you need is the Triforce of Courage. It's obviously a fantasy, a delusion, a daydream. I don't know about that. How did you get a sword from fishing? There's all kinds of stuff in a lake. Have you never heard of King Arthur? When King Arthur died, Excalibur got returned to the Lady of the Lake and she took it into the water. Or is everyone taking part in some kind of act to trick my husband? What act? If anyone's acting, it's you! Quit it, Aniki. Natsuhi-san may be a bit over vehement, but she's right. Kirie-san saw her. I didn't. Neither did you, Aniki. But Rosa did. But that means she exists. There are people who can prove she exists, so we're sure right away that she does. It's the opposite of a devil's proof. And I want to meet her too. I want to ask her directly what kind of business she has with the Ushinomiya family. I agree with you on that. I do indeed wish to inquire as to what business she has under Rokenjima. Don't play dumb! There's only one thing she could be after! Ava, sit down! Father's inheritance! We should work out our future plans with a lawyer who's hot on inheritance issues. If the mistress claims equal rights as mother, then our shares will be cut right in half. Wait a second, everybody. Genji-san will come very soon. He knows everything. I'm sure he'll answer our questions. Until then, let's stop talking about this. Hey, you kids! Sorry, but the adults have to start talking about something complicated. Return to the guest house. Rosa yelled at the children, slightly overcome with emotion. But what about dinner? Children didn't understand why they were silently being yelled at this time, but Ava and the rest realized it too late. They were talking so bluntly about the filthy topic of the inheritance right in front of the children. course they wouldn't want their children to remain. So they all immediately agreed with Rosa's plan. That's right, just as Rosa-san says, George, take all the cousins and go back to the guest house. You all play nice together. George, do as you told. Take all of the cousins and leave right now. Wait a second, Mother. We still haven't finished eating. Oh, and dessert hasn't even come yet. Oh! We will have Goda-san take dessert to the guest house, so leave. Jessica, from here on the adults will be talking together. Go. Sure. Even though I'm still leading. Well, I won't be the only exception. Thanks for understanding, Badler. But you sure are lucky. Huh? Why? I'd want to leave if I could. I bet. I'll let you adults enjoy your happy family chat about the inheritance. I will also leave my seat. At any rate, it appears my turn will not come tonight. Nanjo quietly rose to his feet. From his seat in the farthest corner, he had been calmly watching the whole discussion without butting in. Surely that reaction of his was very adult. Just what you would expect of a calm old gentleman. When Nanjo rose from his seat, it ended up encouraging the others who were supposed to leave. The children noisily rose from their seats, and as they hurried into the hallway, the servants returned. I apologize for taking so long. I have called Genji. I was checking to see that all the doors and windows were shut, so it took me some time. My apologies. Come on, children, to the guest house. Goda-san, my apologies. Could you carry the children's portion of the dessert to the guest house? Huh? Is that what you wish? It seemed Goda wasn't amused to see the dinner he'd worked so hard on interrupted like this. I mean, yeah, I feel bad. Just put some saran wrap on it, put it in the fridge. It'll be fine. He said nothing yet. Look as though asking whether this was really okay. Do as Rosa-san says. And it will not be necessary to set out dessert for us. Do not approach the dining hall until we call for you. Tell the rest of the servants to do the same. Understood? Yes. As you wish. Come, everyone. Shall we go? Maria-san, you mustn't trouble your mother anymore. I want to talk about Beetle too. No. Maria-chan, could you tell us about Beatrice in the guest house? I really want to hear about the witch. Okay? Pretty darn smooth, George Nissan. It ain't easy being Goda. It ain't easy being Gouda. I mean, even if he wasn't, kind of a prick about everything, I can understand how much it would suck. Because, I mean, I think everyone has been in a situation, like where it was at work or at school or something, where you contributed to a project or something, and they just did not use what you did. And even if you understand it's nothing personal, it still hurts. Because it's like, I spent time on that. Are you sure you don't have kids? You're too used to this. George's words had completely restored Maria's good mood. Now she took the initiative, telling the others to head on to the guest house. It looked like Goda didn't like being kicked out himself, but he couldn't disobey Natsuki, so he left the room with Battler and the rest, closing the door. Is there some way I might be of service, everyone, he says, as though he's got no idea why everyone might be so upset. They're like, you gotta be kidding. Come on. Yeah, there sure is. We've got a whole bunch of questions. In fact, maybe one of us does. So, you know, cough it up. So much that we almost want to have a lottery to see who gets to ask first. But no matter who wins the lottery first, the first question will be the same, won't it? That's right. Genji-san, answer me honestly. Who is this person called Beatrice in the VIP room right now? I love that this is like one of the few times all the siblings stand united. Like, Rosa's kind of the odd one out because she seems so much younger than these three. But the way they're just like, Klaus, Rudolph, and Ava are like playing off each other. This is like such a routine for them. I could definitely see them cornering servants when they were younger. Uh-oh. 10 p.m. Okay. I was like, oh no, if it goes all the way up to midnight, people could be dying. We're not quite there yet. Yoshi's claim that advertising doubled the taste was apparently right. After being chased out to the guest house, the kids and Nanjo had gathered in the cousin's room and were eating the cake that Kumasawa had brought for dessert. It was both wonderful and high class, topped with lavish amounts of cream and decorated deliciously with fruits. As delicious as it was, it didn't taste quite as good for some reason. For a second, I was thinking 10 p.m. There's no way it's 10 p.m. already. 29 more minutes. Without Goda-san selling it, this isn't nearly as good. And if we asked Kuma-san to sell it, she'd just say it's made of mackerel. Really? You can make cake from mackerel? Fish cakes? Oh, absolutely. And as you can see with this cake, if you mix the squeezed juice of mackerel with flour and eggs before cooking, it comes out all fluffy. That'd be incredible if true. Maybe mackerel cake will show up on the new menu at one of Father's restaurants. After all, mackerel's full of nutrients and sounds healthy. Might get really popular with women and the elderly. But I'm not gonna get anywhere near it. Girls won't eat something that weird. Even the elderly would wish to decline. But it's delicious, you know? Kumasawa was really cheering up the mood with her classic mackerel jokes. But the sound of the downpouring rain kept turning their attention towards the mystery guest. In the end, they showered Maria with questions again, since she was the only person here to have met Beatrice. I can't believe she was actually telling the truth. You make it sound like, though you never believed it, this Maria meets a witch business isn't news to you. Yeah. I thought it was just one of those fairy tales you'd expect from a dreamy kid that age. She exists! Beatrice exists! Every year when we come to the family conference, I meet her and play together. That's right. Although Beatrice-sama doesn't usually show herself, I hear she unexpectedly appears before honest people with clean hearts. Ho ho ho. Beatrice referred to that character in the fairy tale about the Rokenjima witch. To keep Kinzo in a good mood, the family and servants acted as though they believed in the witch of his delusions. That's how Rokenjima's fairy tale, or maybe ghost story, had come into being. To the family members who knew that backstory, the fairy tale of the Golden Witch wasn't something to be taken too seriously. However, They were never able to say that out loud in front of Kinzo. Because of that, the legend of the witch carried a lot more weight to someone like young Maria, who didn't know the story of how it had come into being. That's why Maria believed in the legend of the witch. She'd accepted it entirely. It was only natural for an imaginative girl who believed in witches. So people had avoided saying things that would betray her dream. On the contrary, they had worked together to say and do things that would help liven up her dreams without her knowing. So when Maria-chan was showing us that candy that supposedly came from Beatrice, I figured someone suddenly slipped it into her handbag. I have done similar things a few times in the past, secretly placing sweets somewhere. I imagine even Kumasawa-san, or rather all of the servants, and everyone in the Ushinomiya family had done it once or twice. So it'll make a small innocent kid happy. You might place a sweet somewhere and have everyone join in on keeping the secret alive for her. Come to think of it, I'll bet you do that kind of thing all the time, George Aniki. Who knows? It'd probably be boorish to admit such a thing out loud. George admitted it while being extremely wary that Maria didn't find out. In other words, it's kind of like Santa Claus. To protect a kid's dreams, the parents plot together and lie, setting presents at the bedside of a child fast asleep. After all, you want to protect a kid's dreams, right? Obviously, I've known Santa doesn't exist for a long time now. But if there's no reason to wake up from a dream like that, I wish I could have believed it all my life. Because adults know that the world is filled with terrible things, they all want to at least protect the pure dreams of a child. Ugh! Beatrice exists! Exists! Yes, she does. Beatrice-sama does exist, right? Some time ago, when I was drying mackerel to make some black tea, suddenly... Well, it basically goes something like that. Supposedly, at least. Mackerel and black tea? So, simply put, this was supposed to be a witch that no one but Maria believed in. I wouldn't phrase it quite like that. The point isn't that we didn't believe. We were all trying to give her a chance to believe. And now you manifested the witch. So this is about not betraying a child's innocence. But Santa doesn't exist in reality. You don't want kids to be all disappointed when they learn the truth. You'd be better off not showing them that dream in the first place. God. I mean, there are definitely people who didn't let their kid believe in Santa. But then those kids often became, hated by the class. Because very, very rarely are the kids mature enough to keep that a secret. So they'll tell the kids Santa doesn't exist, and, you know, depending on the age they are, they're gonna vehemently deny it. It's a little different, you know, when, like, you start being around teenage age and you have younger siblings or cousins, and you're mature enough to keep the secret. Assuming you're not one of those that, like, told your younger siblings just to hurt their feelings. It's the fact that I think, like, there's proof that I'm still a long way from becoming a full adult. The true nature of the Rokenjima witch was finally starting to take shape in Battler's mind. However, their current situation overrode this understanding. And in fact, it completely overturned its very premise. So we thought we knew what was going on, but now Beatrice-sama the witch has actually appeared in reality. Is that it? And judging by how freaked out our parents were, it seems like she wasn't an invited guest. Not by them, anyway. Now it's starting to get interesting. There's no reason for us to simply assume that a woman called Beatrice doesn't exist. It's what Uncle Rudolph called a devil's proof. None of us knew that a woman called Beatrice herself existed. But that's not the same as proving that Beatrice doesn't exist. What about proving that there is or isn't a 19th person on the island, huh? Dr. Nanjo, you've been friends with Father for a long time, right?
I guess.
It's like, well, if you're gonna put it that way. At one point, during the family conference, I was questioned quite thoroughly by Kraus-san and the others. They wanted to know if long ago Kinzo might have had a mistress called Beatrice and an illegitimate child with her. I get it. Our parents have their heads full with the inheritance. Our parents have their heads full with the inheritance problem. So of course, if the daughter of a mistress like that showed up, it'd be troublesome for them.
Oh, you don't even know the half of it.
Kraus-san and the rest probably asked Genji-san about it first. However, Genji is an aide who's sworn loyalty to Kinzo-san and is probably a friend more trusted by Kinzo than myself.
Rip.
I doubt he told them anything. So next they went to ask me as an old friend of his. And? Did grandfather have a lover called Beatrice, Dr. Nanjo? He did. No, I have never met her. However, I have heard from Kinzo-san that he had a relationship with a woman like that.
Oh, this is coming out so early. My.
He said she passed away a long time ago. She's dead. So, did the two of them have a kid? That, I do not know. But Kinzo-san always says that reviving Beatrice is the goal of his research. Usually, if one loses a mistress but has a child left behind to remember them by, they pour all of their love onto that child. Therefore, we naturally assumed that there was no such child between Kinzo-san and Beatrice. So that leaves us with another devil's proof. Yeah. It's impossible to prove that a child between him and a mistress doesn't exist. So now that this child has actually appeared, we have to assume she did exist after all. That's a bit of a rushed argument. It's more realistic that someone caught wind of the trouble with the Ushinomiya family inheritance, knew about grandfather's relationship with a mistress long ago, and impersonated her, trying to take a slice of the inheritance for themselves. Sure, that is realistic, but we can't deny the possibility that she really is an illegitimate child. One who lived in isolation, forgotten by grandfather, and who's returned for revenge. Right? Revenge? What do you mean? Sorry. Guys just like to dramatize stuff to make it sound interesting. I've seen too many weird dramas. Normally that might come off as a light joke, but the joke had landed after an uninvited mystery guest calling herself Beatrice, and it marched in on the day of the family conference, where the bloody argument that the inheritance had become took center stage. There was no way Battler's joke would be welcomed with laughter. So it really was a big help when Nanjo laughed brightly to calm everyone down. Ha 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 ha. I see, that does sound quite intriguing. I would love to read a novel with a plot like that. Well, I don't think it could actually work. After all, right now on this island, there's just 1, 2, 3... a full 18 people, right? If anyone tries to do something weird, they'd immediately get caught. And thanks to the typhoon, they can't even leave the island. In other words, if you tried to commit some crazy crime, you'd be screwed. I agree. In a dead end, without any way to escape, and in a situation where everyone's really suspicious of her, I seriously doubt she could pull off a terrifying revenge drama like that, unless she's a witch, in which case, rest in peace. Probably not. In that case, it would be more realistic if she had come in secret, without making her presence known. I simply cannot imagine anyone appearing openly to take revenge outside of some historical drama. Well, who knows, right? Revenge is based on emotion, not logic. If you got someone willing to go down along with their opponent, they might not be afraid of anything. Not even the police, or large numbers of people. It's okay, Jessica-chan. None of the disturbing things we're imagining will happen. I don't know about that. Like the battle royale between our parents over the inheritance isn't disturbing. That's right. Dad and Uncle Rudolph are pretty tough. And Aunt Eva's even trained in the martial arts. We'll be fine. Yeah. Jessica did say it out loud, but she'd vaguely noticed that her own father stood in opposition to all the other siblings on the inheritance issue. They usually played nice in front of the children. But when that pretense was lifted away, like it had been at dinner, the result would be a tumultuous uproar. After realizing this, it was only natural for Jessica to be frightened at the thought that her parents might get caught up in some kind of trouble. Everything is fine? Question mark? And become human sacrifices. Or something terrifying. Girl knows too much. She's got this all figured out. Seriously. George Aniki's right. Nothing's gonna happen. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Even if she pretends she's a witch, what can a single human woman who can't even use magic do? Oh, well, I mean... Oh god, here she goes. Hang on. My PC is chugging a little, so I'm gonna save just in case. It seemed like the wrong thing to ask, uh-huh. The sudden creepy laugh made all of them jump. And when they realized the strange laugh was coming from Maria, they were shocked again. I see. So that's how you see it, Battler. What is? Don't laugh all creepy like that. You accept Beatrice's existence for now. At least you accept her as the 19th person and a guest. But that's all, right? You don't accept that the 19th person, Beatrice, is a witch, right? Huh? All the crazy things to say. Of course that's what I think. Witches couldn't possibly exist. The only possibility is that she's a human woman claiming to be a witch. Isn't that odd, Battler? That's a devil's proof, isn't it? Of course witches don't exist. But just because you've never met a witch, that doesn't mean you've proven that witches don't exist, right? That's right. You're not around there. I can't prove that witches don't exist. However, even if I can't prove it, I can claim it. I can claim that witches don't exist. Why? How can you claim that witches don't exist, even though you can't prove it? Because you can make claims that are unfounded! You don't need to submit proof unless you're trying to convince someone else. Because things like that don't exist. So that's QED, huh? Ah, yes. You finish your proof without any evidence or basis? Now that's a typical case of the ignorant willfully ignoring the shallowness of their own knowledge. A reckless suspension of thought. How do you know these words? You're 9 years old. Most adults don't even understand the concept of QED. There's only one way to resolve this, Maria. The witch's side needs to show some proof of themselves. It's a devil's proof again. If you bring me a devil, we can end this right now. In that case, we could just get this woman calling herself Beatrice to display some wonderful, magnificent magic like the twinkling stars. All she has to do is show us something that's impossible for humans, right? Come now, you two. Please settle down. Kumasawa noticed that the atmosphere between them was getting worse and tried to calm them. It seemed as though Battler quickly realized that he wasn't acting like an adult. It's okay, you're not an adult. You're like what? 16? 17? You ain't an adult, my boy. Maria's expression didn't loosen. And she laughed creepily. She kept staring at Battler. You quit it too, Maria. Let's get back in a good mood, okay? Not okay. It's not happening, girl. Unfortunately, let's get back in a good mood, okay? I'm going crazy. I thought I heard Mogu meow at me, but I can't see her anywhere. the devil's proof of the cat? Did they meow at you? Did they meow at me for dinner through the headphones, or am I just imagining it? If that's what you want, Beatrice will definitely show you. Something impossible for humans. When she does, you'll believe too, okay? You'll believe in Beatrice. Sure. If she lets me have a look, I'll believe. It's a chess debate between the witch and you, Battler. If you get checkmated, you'll believe in the witch. Ooh, I like the way you put that. The witch shows her magic. My king is put into check. I quibble, saying it'd be possible to reproduce her feat using measures even a human could take, and my king escapes. Failing to do that would be checkmate, so that's a pretty good analogy. Battler, in chess, you and your opponent have pieces that move in the same way, so you can predict your opponent's moves. But you know what? What you aren't expecting is that your opponent's pieces might be able to move in ways far stranger than yours. You simply assume that since witches must not exist, the movement of Beatrice's pieces will obviously be the same as your own. But you know what? Sorry, Battler, but your chess partner isn't human. She's a witch. She can move her pieces in ways that humans can't. Right now, your understanding is flawed. Battler, you like Antikyria's chessboard thinking, right? Hey, spin the board! Yeah, I like that style of thinking, where you stand in your opponent's shoes. And that's why you'll get stuck. Even though your opponent is a witch, you won't accept it. So you can't understand the moves a witch might make, and your chessboard thinking won't work. Your knowledge of your opponent is mistaken. The very first premise of chessboard thinking is broken down. Ah, so that's your game. You cannot win in chess against a witch. Thanks, Maria. Oh, well, that is perfectly timed. I was like, we're probably gonna need to start wrapping it up. I hope the scene ends soon. So there we go. Do, 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 do. One more save. Ta-da! Oh boy. We're inching closer to the witching hour. In the morning, we're gonna find 6 bodies. Which bodies will they be? We will find out. We will find out. Ah, baby's playing Papers, Please. I love that. I love Papers, Please. Well, that's the race settled. Now, uno momento, let me track the schedule. I think tomorrow's Ace Attorney. Hold on. Yes, we're going back to Ace Attorney Investigations. Yahoo! And we'll have UMINEKO on Sunday again, our usual UMINEKO Sunday. Big stretch. Alrighty. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. EST for more fun, some Ace Attorney. So here is our radio message. And here is Discord. If you want to keep up with us when we're not streaming. But for now, that's gonna be it for me. We're gonna go see Fishy Meat while she's playing some Papers, Please. So that is gonna be it for me. So, if it's daytime where you are, have a wonderful rest of your day. And if it's nighttime, have a great rest when you head on up to bed. Until next time, take care of yourself. Wash your face, brush your teeth, eat a good food. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.